Gibson, you're here. Yay!
Hi there.
Um, well, I don't know if you guys saw, but Gibson's book is already at the top of the bestseller list.
Woo!
That's awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
let me see if I can find it where it is right now, but that was amazing.
I'm not sure how much it's got to do with me, but
It is a juggernaut, that series.
the
That's
series
for
is
sure.
out of control.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you want to do things, Gibson?
Well, I guess I was going to share a little bit of the PDF so people can take a peek at the book. I wish I could do a little bit of a reading, but uh, some know and some don't that my eyes aren't so good anymore, and my vision is poor, and I have trouble reading. So I will leave it up to everybody who picks up the book to read the book for themselves.
Okay.
And I will share a little bit of that, uh,
Okay.
and just talk a little bit about, I guess, how I came into the series,
Hmm.
and uh, what came before that for me and what comes after that for me, and then we can get into any kind of questions anybody has, and I'll try to be brief about all of that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. So we'll have a little intro by Gibson and then we can just start chatting with each other and asking Gibson questions.
Uh, so I guess first things first, I will see if I can figure out how to share my screen. If I can get a little assistance from Rory
Yes, you can.
to come over here and help me find the share screen. Sorry, I have an assistant. It is my spouse. She's trying desperately not to be on camera, but she's right here.
Oh no. Oh no. Uh, here we go. And you're doing right here, screen two.
All right. Is that
Yes, we
that
can
up
see
for everybody?
it. Yay.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure that is the right one, actually. Right, I don't think that's the right one.
Is it? Oh.
Oh, this isn't the right one?
Does it have
Oh, it's the not the right picture.
it's not the right picture,
Okay, go
yeah.
back up to share, or I'll do it. Sorry, I messed up. Sorry, guys. It said screen two. I don't
Well,
know.
that's the one that it's showing.
Well, here. Okay. We'll try this now. Is it showing a white page for everyone?
It shows graphic novel 4, part 1 of 3.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know why that other one is up on your screen.
All right, well, it's giving me trouble. Let's go. So this is the fourth book
Hmm.
in the Warriors graphic novel adaptation series, and it is adapting the first and second books in the New Prophecy series, which is the second Warriors novel series, comprising 6 books that I did, that I adapted. Um, and I'm trying to remember what the titles were for all of them, and I'm not going to, because we don't bother titling them in the graphic novels, because it's just confusing. So it's the fourth book in the series. I do the fifth and sixth book as well, with artist Sammy Savos, and you can see there's a little bit of preamble and all of the whatever and the dedications and things like that. And then here's StarClan.
Yay, artwork.
Cats and their cats from StarClan. And StarClan is a a sort of nebulous spiritual realm of the ancestor cats to the warriors. who have a very rigid caste system and a very dogmatic religious system, but it is what they got, and they're very, very admitted to it. And this is uh, the new prophecy, where the cats of StarClan have seen and foretold doom coming to the forest. So they send out prophecies, because that's what you do when you're a ghost cat who wants to save your people. Um, so we find Brambleclaw is our main guy. He's warrior. He's a little holdover, and this is Squirrel Paw, as you see her in the first book. And she is an apprentice cat. And when apprentice cats are apprentice cats, they're referred to as paw. It's very complicated. I don't understand all of it myself. I'm not sure anybody does. But it's fun. It's warriors. So this is Brambleclaw and Squirrel Paw. And Squirrel Paw becomes my favorite. And she is the kitty that is shown on the cover with her mischievous little look. And they receive. Whoop, we've lost the cover. They receive a prophecy. Each of several cats receives a prophecy from StarClan, from a different member of StarClan, that they must go to find the Sundrown place and listen to what Midnight has to tell them. And that's confusing for a cat, because Midnight generally doesn't talk. But it's a message from StarClan. It's a mission from StarClan, and they have to go. So they set out. And you can see, if we get the pages loading properly, you can see the artwork by Sammy, and it is gorgeous and shocking sometimes, and absolutely adorable sometimes, and back and forth on the same page sometimes. And I am really happy with what Sammy did with the script that I adapted from the original work. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. Are there any questions so far? All right. So now, where was I? Oh yes, they're on a mission from God. So the way I came to the project was I wasn't familiar with it, but it was proposed to me to write a sample script, and the sample script that I wrote is actually very similar to what ended up being the introduction, the prologue, where we are meeting StarClan. It is very similar, and I guess they liked what they saw, because they hired me on to do 3 books of it. And so I set out reading, mostly listening to the audiobooks for the books that I was going to do, and kind of peeking around in the Warriors fandom, in the Warriors audiences, because I really wasn't that familiar with it. And the more I became familiar with it, the more I realized, oh, this is huge. This thing is huge. And I'm not sure if I had known how big the fandom was, how big the audience was, if I would have taken it, because it's very intimidating. But so far, everybody that I've met has been really welcoming and really enthusiastic and kind of exuberant about the thing, and it's really nice to see such a wide and deep fandom that hasn't poisoned itself. It's really, really invigorating to see such a rich and giving and contributing fan base. So it's been really nice. It's been really rewarding coming to that. So I don't want to say too much about the story itself. I think, you know, probably a lot of people who are already Warriors fans are familiar with it. Uh, and there are things that I changed, and I won't go into those things now. But there are a lot of things that it was important for me to keep the same. So it's going to be interesting and fun to kind of get fan reaction to that once people are actually able to read it. And today's the day.
Yeah.
So I guess a little bit about like where I came from before Warriors. I have been making comics since the 1980s, and in various forms. I did zines when I was a teenager, and you know, I did more serious and thoughtful work when I was, you know, a little older. And then I got into doing web comics. My collaborator and friend Ben Steves got me into the idea of doing a web comic, and I started posting one called Pictures of You, just kind of on a lark. And 15 years later, I wrapped up the eighth volume of that graphic novel series, and just kind of looked around for what was going on, what I was going to do next, and I did a few things here and there just as fun, and that's when I met when my spouse and I decided we wanted to go into graphic novels, to kind of move away from web comics. Not that it wasn't rewarding, but that it wasn't really rewarding to us anymore. We had both kind of done a lot in that area, and we were looking at doing maybe more self-contained and thoughtful things, and you know, hopefully getting paid for one or two of them here and there. Um, and that's when we met Jenna Marishima, our agent, who honestly I would not be on this book without. There's just no way that I would have gotten as far as I have in comics publishing without her help and her guidance and her teaching. So to anybody out there who is you know, an aspirational uh, comic artist or writer or anything, find an agent that you trust, because they will be your most valuable resource. Jana,
Thank you. Thank you.
um, so Jana saw, I guess, the potential in us, even though we hadn't done any kind of kids publishing before that. In fact, kind of the opposite. Our work had been largely mature, not, you know, mature, but you know, for grown-ups, for you know, for people over the age of. Um, and so we kind of explored a lot of the different things that we wanted to do between Rory and I, and we ended up coming up with an adaptation of Wuthering Heights that is forthcoming now from Andrews McNeil, that we think is interesting and going to be a lot of fun. And we were also asked to do a history comic with First Second on the Titanic, which I think we're having a lot of fun and trouble with over the course of trying to put it together. But it is a fascinating story, and I really hope people enjoy it when it comes out. And at that point, that's when I was offered Warriors and the three books of it, and snatched that up in I guess it was late 2023 or 2024. One of those, and I've been working on it, and I just wrapped up the first draft of the final book a few days ago. And that's it. That's how I got here.
Gibson, can you stop sharing your screen and then we can sort of do some Q&A?
I can try. How do I stop sharing screen?
There's probably like a share button at the bottom if you click that. Maybe is Rory there?
Rory, can I
Yeah.
get
Sorry. Sorry.
what's happening? Sorry, everybody.
I'm sorry. All right.
We were
I
supposed to
got
be prepared, but then we
it.
weren't.
It's all fine.
Yay,
Right.
okay.
Hey.
So, Gibson, one thing that I think would be really cool is if you could tell people about your personal writing process. Like, one thing you mentioned is that your eyesight is not good, and so you're listening to the audiobooks of the original prose books in order to write. So, literally walk us through what the steps are.
Well, the first thing I do is when I open a word processing document, I blow the font out to a healthy 22, so it's huge, huge on the screen, and that's at a point where I can generally see it well enough to be able to write with it. Um, so I guess the first thing that I do is just start making lists of things that I think are important in the story, things that have to happen, things I would like to happen, things that should happen, things that shouldn't happen, things I just think are cool, fun lines that I think of, um, and of course, anything that anybody's throwing at me to tell me to I have to include it because I'm getting paid for it. If I'm not getting paid for it, I'm just all over the place. There is no stopping me. There is no slowing me down. And my writing process at first is a bewildering mass of uh, dumb thoughts and mild vulgarity and half formed ideas that don't really go anywhere and overly formed ideas that go way too far. And I just kind of let it uh, be ridiculous because this is I'm the only one that's ever supposed to see this, and if anybody else sees it, they're going to think I'm having problems. Uh, but I clean it up and form the thoughts into bigger thoughts and more cohesive thoughts, and get rid of the ones that are evil, and boost up the ones that are not evil, and and they're kind of all evil. So, I'm usually left at square one, scratching my head. But then the second draft comes and it gets a little clearer, and I'm able to form, thoughts and linear ideas, and understand the characters a little more. And that's, a big part of it too, is once I understand the characters, I understand the story. I know how to tell the story once I know the characters. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes I get it right away. But the characters are always the key for me. And then I put it into, scenes and get rid of the scenes that aren't working and expand on scenes that need more scenes. And then uh, I'll let a pretty small group of people read it to give me feedback on it. Um, and I'll tell you, I'll never, ever take feedback straight from the internet. Don't do it. It's bad every time. Um, and so, like I'll take that feedback and I'll read it myself over and over again. And often I will just straight up rewrite it for the sake of rewriting it because I'm like that. Um, and then it starts to coalesce into thoughts and ideas, and I think once somebody gets angry at me about it, that's when I know I'm done. Does that make any kind of sense? I
Well, I
feel
like
like
the
my
fact that you just
explanation of my
start.
writing process is very much like my writing process.
Yeah. I think of a lot of, well, actually, I'd be curious. Maybe we can do a vote in the chat. In terms of writing, I find that just putting whatever is in my head onto the page is the way to get started. Like, no matter how
Totally.
it is. Just put something down.
I would absolutely agree. Yeah. Yeah, and something on the page is better than nothing on the page because you can
Yeah.
fix it later.
Yeah. So, any questions for Gibson? Yes, Brian.
Well, first of all, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just in Walmart about 2 hours ago and came across the first three graphic novels.
Right.
Um, but I didn't really look in depth. I'm just curious because I don't know anything about the Warriors. Do human beings factor into their world at
There are
all?
human beings in the world, and they are supposedly actually cats.
Oh,
They're not anthropomorphic, really. They are supposed to be like actual cats running around in the woods, fighting each other, and I don't know, I guess hanging out. A lot of hanging out.
and I have a second question for the Titanic. Is there an actual novel about the Titanic, or is it kind
Oh,
of based on?
there's several, but ours is nonfiction.
Oh, okay, so it's not going to be loosely based on the movie or anything.
No, no, nothing to do with the movie at all. It's based on an historical event. Yeah, it's nonfiction. It's part of their history comics line.
Oh, okay.
So it's all true. No James Cameron. We know what actually happened on the end of that boat. That actually is maybe my favorite story about Titanic is in the movie when they're up on the end of the boat and they look over and there's some guy that looks like he's a ridiculous character of a French chef was an actual person who survived the Titanic, and he was the only one that was actually genuinely on the end of that ship. And he survived. They say because he was very tipsy. So that's one of the fun stories that we were able to uncover, and there's actually quite a few, more than we could ever have put in there. But nope, nothing to do with that movie, nothing to do with really any other Titanic movie, because most of them are wrong. Uh, Not all of them, but most of them are just kind of flights of fancy and romance, and some of them are good, some of them aren't. We hope ours is good.
So Gibson, I see Alex has their hand up, but I'm gonna first ask a question from the chat and then we can go to Alex.
Okay.
So Tadeusz said, what part of the book are you most proud of and what proved to be the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge I think was turning 6 full-length novels into 3 graphic novels. And to do it with a page count that I wasn't supposed to exceed, but did every time. But it's a huge amount of story trying to get it into a certain amount of pages. But that was, I think, the biggest challenge was just to get everything in there that needed to be in there and still telling the story cohesively and interestingly in a way that the reader can still read it and the artist can still draw it. That was also a huge consideration.
What are you most proud of?
Most proud of? Humor.
Mhm.
I mean, I think I'm always proudest when I can tell a joke, but yeah, being able to bring a little humor into the story, I think is what I was proudest of. Hope,
Alex, do you
hopefully
want
fans react well to it.
to?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, congratulations, Gibson. It's
Thank you.
fantastic. Um, so my question is related to the question that was just asked, but maybe more of a fine point on it. Like, what did you find was most challenging and most rewarding about writing a very well-known adaptation? Like, were there particular challenges around that? And then I have a second question,
Okay.
which is, I know that you're working on Wuthering Heights and the Titanic, and so I was wondering for the historic adaptation, what is your approach in terms of structuring the graphic novel, and how, if it is, how is it different than a fictional graphic novel?
Um, I mean, in the structure of it, it's not. Uh,
Mhm.
in the in the storytelling style, of course, it's going to be there's always going to be differences between fiction and nonfiction because you can be a little fancier with fiction, but you have to be like the restraints on us in Titanic were far greater than the restraints on us in Wuthering Heights. Even though Wuthering Heights is uh, a widely beloved and well-known story, we were able to do new and different things. We were able to change whatever we wanted, and it certainly wasn't that way with Titanic. There were beats that had to be kind of covered, um, which made I think the storytelling tighter. And I was not the final. Rori also uh, uh, co-wrote that with me and did a lot of that, uh, uh, the fact checking and the tightening and things like that of the continuities. But it was very important that we get them correct. Like we couldn't really be extemporaneous with where people were and when. Even though it might have made for a better story if they were here, they weren't, and we couldn't just put them there. So that was, those are constraints that are, you know, uh, between fiction and nonfiction. But I did find that with Warriors, there because it is, such an established story, and I'm not making up new Warrior stories. I'm adapting the stories that are already there and already loved. There is, a certain amount of, well, I have to know where these characters are, and they have to be here, and they have to be here. But at the same time, I can change all of it. So it's a measure of where do I find the balance between what is there and what has been said and what is expected versus what is my story or our story with Sammy and I, and what differentiates it, what makes it, what gives there any point to us doing it in the first place? Is it going to be simply a static reporting of the original material, or are we going to give some new thoughts and new life? And I think both Sammy and I were really successful in bringing a our eye to the story and to the visuals for sure.
That's great. Well, congratulations again. That's
Well,
awesome.
thank you very much.
All right. So I have Leo and Shay. I see your hands up, but I also had more questions in the chat. So I think I'm going to go back and forth between the chat and the hands up. Okay. So next chat question was from Don Wing. With having to combine two books into a single volume, how easy is it to decide what factors, or how easy is it to decide, or what factors into the decision of what scenes and dialogue to include and what to cut?
Yeah, that's a pretty solid question. I don't know that I'm going to have a good answer for you because a little bit it comes down to, how do I write? But I try to think of what are the pillars of the story. what are the parts of this story that make this story this story? You know, I can look at a classic story like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you can, you know, kind of measure out, well, these are the things, if you were going to do a graphic novel of it, these are the things that would have to be in the graphic novel. So I kind of try to do that with the material, and that involves, you know, just kind of like, you know, exploring it and looking at, listening to it and reading it and writing out things and having weird ideas that the editor then slaps back in my face and you know, things like that. And we did take a long time kind of triangulating on the first book. Just I think to get my rhythm in turn with their rhythm and the story that they wanted to tell and the story I wanted to tell, and you know, the levels that we both were comfortable with. So by the time the second book came around, and then again in the third, it was a much easier process. But the first book was all people that I'd never worked with before and didn't know at all. So it was, you know, a little bewildering. But you know, I think we figured it out. I think we came to a pretty good product subject. I'm motioning over here like you know what I'm.
All right, Leo.
Hey, Gibson.
Hi, Leo.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Excited, very happy for you. I'm going to piggyback off of Alex's question. I know this is a Warriors book launch,
That's fine.
but I have a question about the nonfiction Titanic. So I'm in the process of developing my own nonfiction graphic novel. And I'm curious about your how you're dealing with research, how much the publisher is giving you the research. You know, are there particular books that you're reading? How are you telling a story? Have you picked like a fictional narrator that's telling the story? Are you doing this chronologically?
I did. We
Like,
did.
how
We
do
did
you
pick
how do you
a fictional
how do you
narrator.
approach this?
We did pick a fictional narrator because it was just far easier than trying to find a single narrator for the book. But it is, you know, aggregate from the stories that were told. So we picked, you know, like details from everywhere for this narration. But when we go a little deeper into the passengers in the story, that is when the characters are all, well, they're not characters, they're historical people. Like they were all real. But there are bridging scenes with a reporter character that is fictionalized.
That's great. And is First Second supplying you with research? You're having to do this all on your own.
They provided us with fact checking after we had written the first draft, first couple of drafts actually. They provided us with a fact checker. Beforehand, nothing. Our research was, I mean, it started on, well, a lot of YouTube, honestly. We watched a lot of YouTube videos and, you know, looked into historical records, and we were going to go to, there's a place in Missouri where they have recreated the grand staircase of the Titanic in, what's the name of it? Branson, Missouri. And we were going to go until we found out that the tickets were like upwards of $40 a piece. So we decided not to do that. But we are actually looking at possibly hosting a launch for the Titanic book in Halifax, which is where the rescue operations for the Titanic were staged, and all of the the wreckage from the ship was brought. And they have a fairly good museum there that is dedicated to the Titanic. So we're looking at maybe being able to host an event there.
Very exciting. Thanks, Gibson.
Thanks.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too, Leo.
All right, so I'm gonna go to the question in the chat, and then Shay, I will come back to you. So SK asked, in your pre-writing, when do you move from the prose draft to script? Or do
I
you
don't,
stay,
I don't do prose. I don't do a
okay,
prose draft.
you stay in script from the beginning?
I
Okay.
mean, I do extensive notes, and sometimes the notes are, in prose form, but I don't do like a prose version. I actually usually start pretty dialogue heavy, and go back from there.
Okay. Shay?
Hi. I am also curious about the Titanic and
Okay.
wondering about your Leo took part of my question. I was curious about your research project process, but also given like all of the stories that you uncovered, how did you narrow down what to include in the book?
Well, a big part of it was to find stories that we didn't think had really been told uh, a lot. Ones that were, either obscure or just straight up not known about. And we wanted to focus on um, the what was known as steerage, which turns out was actually not that bad. It gets a bad rap for being third class, but for the time, it was actually considered luxurious third class accommodations. Um, and we wanted to make sure we showed the contrast between that and the people on the top deck. And the staff, we wanted to show a fair amount of not just the military staff but the civilian staff. We focused on the baker, Charles Jogan, uh, and he became a favorite of mine. And I'll leave it till people get curious and check the historical records on him, I guess. But it's a really fun story, and we focused on some Turkish nationals, Armenian nationals who were on the ship, some of whom survived and some of whom didn't, and some of the first class passengers who survived and some who didn't. And we just thought, is this interesting to us? Is this an interesting unspoken character that has either tragedy or triumph attached to them?
There's a little romance with them.
And there we found just a little tiny touch of romance, and a little tiny touch of humor. So it's kind of a balanced story, we think, while we're still able to kind of keep it into the nonfiction realm where, this all happened. We're just finding these stories because that's what Titanic was. There was so many stories on that ship that everybody in this chat could do a Titanic book and probably still not run out of everybody on the ship.
For sure. Thank you.
Yep.
And congratulations.
Well, thank you.
All right, so Estrella asked, what process do you go through to get to know your characters better?
I think I just roll them around in my head a lot. I don't, sometimes I'll just write out some dialogue or a conversation that will help illuminate a character. Sometimes I will just have the characters kind of audition for the role in my head kind of thing. The way you would with, casting a role in a film. It's like, okay, are these characters getting along? Do they need to get along? Should they get along? Should they hate each other? It's always kind of fun to kind of shake that dice and see, where the characters are gonna where they're gonna fall. Because there's almost always like, somebody hates somebody.
All right. Don Wing asked a question from another Warriors YouTuber, Sunnyfall. How did you create or decide on a unique voice for each of the characters? They came across as very vibrant and consistent.
Uh, you mean my characterizations?
I think so. Yeah, your
Okay.
characters within the
Well,
graphic.
I appreciate that. I'm not sure how conscious it ever really was. I think it was just that of like I would listen to the books and kind of, well, this role, this scene could be, a little punchier, or this character is, maybe a little irreverent, so they're gonna have, maybe a little different a sense of humor, or maybe they're, just going to be kind of hard to get along with, but you can secretly tell they want to get along with everybody. So it's finding those kind of subtle nuances. I can say with Squirrel Paw / Squirrel Flight, it was very much that I found kind of an irreverence to the character, where she kind of bucks authority, even though that's not something that you do in this culture. She does it. And sometimes it gets her into trouble and sometimes it doesn't, but it's a lot of fun to get her in and out of it. And I have a lot of fun writing that character. I have had a lot of fun writing the Crowpaw character as well, which is, I think, another maybe controversial favorite. But I don't know that I'd say he was a favorite character, but I had fun writing him. And of course, Ravenpaw. I came to really love Ravenpaw and Bailey. Barley, sorry. Sorry, Bailey.
So Jeff asked, how is collaborating with a new illustrator? Did you have to adapt your process compared to how you work with Rori?
Very, very much. Yeah. In fact, I would say it's different than any other collaborative experience I've had, because we didn't know each other, and it was really the first time I've worked on any kind of long-term project with somebody that I didn't already know beforehand and could talk to about it one-on-one and exchange your ideas. And there was, I think that there were obstacles in the way of us being able to do that. Some of which were, in fact, many of which were my fault. Just my illness when we first took over was creating a lot of problems for me, and I think that created problems within the artistic connection, and we weren't really able to kind of make that one-on-one. But the work that she did is gorgeous. So take from that what you will, as far as what that means as far as the process. But I'm thoroughly top to bottom happy with the work that we did.
So John asked, how much direction did you give the illustrator? Did you write in typical script format?
Yeah, I wrote the script.
Mm-hmm. And then, well, I guess, should I ask, like, did you give a lot of art notes in the script?
I generally try not to give a lot of art notes unless the note is important to the story and not just I think it would look cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm I find if I'm, telling the artist what to do on every panel, as far as every, little thing, which some writers feel like that is a responsibility, and some artists I think maybe actually do look for that from a writer. They look for that guidance, but I find that when an artist is a little freer to adapt their thoughts, better work comes out of it. So I try to give as little art notes. I will give, directional notes as to, where they're going, or, sometimes if I feel like this panel needs this angle, it needs
Mhm.
this shot, it needs this coloring, that is when I will put it in. And I find if I'm sparing about it and just kind of including it when I think it is genuinely important to the story, uh, it comes back better. The artist feels like they are freer most of the time to make the choices, and I have to trust in my ability as a script writer to get those ideas across succinctly.
I think in one of the spreads that you showed us at the top of the call, it was the one with the sort of like blue palette, and it was like a
Yep.
nighttime scene. So it was almost a wordless spread. There might have been a tiny bit of dialogue on that spread, but very little. So what was on the script page for that spread?
Uh, Basically, some simple descriptions of the scene. Like I think the first panel I'm looking at, I guess I could bring it up again, but mostly I describe just the scene.
Okay.
Uh, so the first panel is like a canopy of trees. So not remembering exactly what I wrote for script, I probably wrote, it is a starry night under a canopy of trees in StarClan. Uh,
Mhm.
I probably would have described, the mood, the temperature, the time of year, the time of day, and
Mhm.
then I would have. They actually included some narration on the first page that wasn't mine. Uh,
Mhm.
but I love a wordless sequence. I think they're just so magical and underused.
Mhm. Uh, Also, John had a really good question. For those of us new to the Warriors series, do we need to know the previous stories before reading yours?
If I'm honest, I didn't. I still haven't read the first arc. I've read the books that I adapted, and no other. Um, it probably wouldn't hurt. The first books are good. The team did a good job on the first books. They're worth reading. Um, do you need to? I don't think you. I think you could probably pick it up. I think there's
Mhm.
enough seeds in there, enough breadcrumbs in there that you can more or less pick it up.
Okay. Rachel said, do you use the Warriors wiki a lot as you construct the comic script?
Not really. No, no. I was told to, but then I didn't. I actually stuck mostly just to the books as my subject matter. Uh, I did I did watch a few YouTube videos. I'm not sure if I should shout anyone out because I don't really know any of the politics behind YouTube Warriors videos, but there was one user who does fun little animations that I found quite irreverent that I would listen to and watch and giggle along with because I thought they were quite fun and quite astute. But yeah, I probably shouldn't blow anybody up too much about.
Okay. Rachel said, do you have ebook versions of the prose books that you search as you're getting into the nitty-gritty?
I probably Actually, no, I don't. I don't have electronic copies. I asked for them, but I don't know that I ever got them.
But
I got
you were
I got
mainly
actual
using
books.
yeah, but you were using the audiobook mainly,
I
right?
was I was just using the audiobooks. Yeah.
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 And then Rachel also asked, where do you think that you editorialized the original the most?
Hmm. I tried to be fairly subtle about that. Um, I was never a fan of the tribalism of the books. And there's a lot of xenophobia within the books that I tried to play down, which I'm not going to illuminate now. But I was uncomfortable. The artist I know expressed to me some discomfort with some of those things as well, and we were able to kind of smooth it out and find uh, a different way to tell the story than maybe had been told before. But there's definitely a lot of tribal xenophobia of they're not like us. They're from the other clan. We don't talk to them.
Mhm.
And that never really sat well with me.
Mhm.
Because that ain't cool. So I tried to play around with that a little bit. I don't know if I was successful. I hope I was. I hope it's, you know, didn't accidentally turn it into some racist screed. Uh, but I wanted it to be a more egalitarian. Yeah, this is just family stuff. We don't actually hate you, and if we actually hate you, that's wrong. I wanted to, boost that message for the younger readers because I really don't feel like it was, and I wanted to make the female characters a little more prominent as well.
All right. And then Alex says, do you get more money if you're doing the research and not the publisher?
Nope, nope,
No.
nope, nope. There's no such thing as more money in comics. The money is the money.
Yep. Yeah. All right. I think I might have gotten through all the questions. Does anybody else here have one last question for Gibson? Marisa.
I'll ask, it's just a quick question is, are like now knowing what you know, do you still think that you wouldn't have done it if you knew about the fandom? Like, or are you just glad you didn't know?
I'm glad I didn't know. It would have intimidated me, and the kind of person I am, the kind of writer I am. I've always, seen myself as kind of a bad boy. And, this is unquestionably a massively commercial venture. Um, and if I had known, would I have taken it? I mean, it was a lot of money, so yeah, I definitely would have taken it.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you
but
think you
I think I
would
would have
next
felt
for
a
the
lot
next
weirder
going
about it.
forward?
What's
Going
that?
forward, going forward, do you think you would if you were presented with something similar of a different IP or something? Do you think you
Uh,
would be more equipped now to take it on since you've
the
done this?
answer isn't no. I would be maybe picky.
Depends. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would definitely look into, what the process was going to be more thoroughly than I did on this one because I wasn't prepared for that. Um, but the right project with the right editor, absolutely, yeah. And especially the right artist.
Mhm.
So cool. That's great.
Why, you got one?
I know. No, I do not. But happy for you. Cool.
Thank you.
All right. It would be really cool if everybody could unmute yourself and we could
Don't forget to
take
share a link to the book.
congratulations. Oh yes, share a link to the book. Oh gosh, let me get hold on guys. Ah, I should have looked it up on Bookshop. That's where it is on Amazon. 'Cause I just opened the Amazon to look and see what the book rank is, and it's ranked number 25 on Amazon in all books.
What?
Yes,
Kids,
Oh
and
my
that's
God, that's
amazing.
in
amazing.
all books. Yep.
That's awesome.
Well,
Yep.
again,
So
that has
happy
little
for
to do
you.
with me, but
Hey,
I'm still going to cash the paycheck.
Yeah.
it does have a little bit to do with you because
Yeah.
it wouldn't be there without you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping people like it.